All right, Al. So this week we have another guest on.
Special guests.
Very special guest.
My daughter, Claire Smight, Danny's sister.
My sister, yes. And we were really looking forward to this one. Quite a big coup for us to get her, to land her on the pod. She was a little reticent, I think.
She was nervous.
She was, but, she's seen our content. She's seen how dialed in we are. She was like, let's go, Cowboys. So we got a cowgirl now. Yeah.
And she talks a little bit about her career. She's, well, you'll see, or hear, or both. And she brought with her the Paper Moon.
Yeah. Yes, a great film. We had her pick one movie prior to this guest spot, and she picked Paper Moon, which we're all big fans of, and we mentioned it on our first episode, but we get into Paper Moon. We talk about Claire's career. It's a wide-ranging conversation, and
might as well just get right to it. Stay tuned. We'll go right into it.
Well, this is quite a momentous occasion. We finally got a cowgirl on the pod here.
Yes.
Pretty crazy.
And I apparently bumped. Now I'm in the middle.
Well,
for some reason.
Yeah, we were.
I don't want to be there.
This whole setup here was okay for maybe the past two guests, but I think Claire deserves something unique.
Nothing is different except I'm in the middle.
Well, you're a father in a way that's like the way a tree would look, right? Like we're the different branches of the tree.
That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like it too.
We're cheating a little bit this week.
Cheating to camera.
Should I keep? Claire said that I am usually too close to the mic.
Well, I think it's because you pick it up so much.
I love picking it up.
Into it like it's a little.
Hold on, we have to introduce. Can we?
Yes. Okay.
Set it down.
I would like to introduce my daughter and Danny's sister, Claire.
You're
Claire
my sister?
Smite. Yeah.
Who is a very talented designer. Describe your career in a nutshell.
I'm an art director, mostly for advertising campaigns. Yeah. I feel like that's it.
Encompasses a lot, but
I feel like she's being
that's
modest.
the elevator pitch, would you call it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Changes every project. Sometimes I'm a designer, sometimes not.
Well, we did want to talk a little bit about how your love of film and growing up around it has sort of influenced, I think, your work.
Oh, yeah.
Your professional work.
True.
Because a lot of it is involved being on shoots.
Yeah. I mean, I got kind of film schooled by you guys growing up.
You were in a lot of Danny's movies.
I was in a lot of Danny's movies.
Starring in them.
True.
Yeah. Claire and I did have a long-running sort of saga called Claire E. Day. And that's like the name Claire, middle initial E. Day. So it's like her name. But Claire's nickname was Clary when we were growing up. And so Clary Day was sort of like this kind of Agent Cody Banks, espionage.
Yeah.
She was badass.
She was badass.
Exactly the plot of
it. Was just.
Well, the invitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah. Agent Cody Banks and Agent Cody Banks 2. What's the sequel called?
To Clary Day or to Agent Cody Banks?
Cody Banks 2.
You're asking the wrong guy, even though I
Banks
know I saw it.
No, it's like Agent Cody Banks London or something. It's like
London Calling?
London XO or something. So we would do stuff like that. And we actually, sadly, have somehow misplaced the footage that was digitized because we shot this all on like high 8 cams back in the early 2000s.
I
think it's on the drive you digitized.
Yeah,
but
I spent a lot of time digitizing all of our home movies and movies you guys made.
Yeah.
And like we thought it was funny in like the early 2010s, and I think it got like separated from the pack.
Maybe.
Oh, the film itself.
The little like Danny got all those high 8s digitized, and I think you like watched it a couple times and it got lost.
Oh, well.
It kind of became...
I'll do a deep
now
search.
it's like even more lore. Because
it became a hot bootleg item. People were duplicating it on the black market, and they got a hold of it, and they're like, this is the best thing we've seen since Agent Cody Banks.
Yeah, like secret screenings.
Since Agent Cody Banks made the same year.
You're like, wow, this is what happened. Yeah. How did this get passed
Hey,
over?
but look where you all, both of you are now. Right?
Yeah. No, but yeah, I use film a lot in my daily job because a lot of it is like briefing directors or putting together storyboards. And yeah, I went through Dad obviously showed us a movie every weekend that we grew up. We had Friday night movie night.
Yep.
Yes.
And then when Danny was at UCLA, I was still in high school, and he would come home and like watch the movies that he wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Mostly outside of class, but I feel like sometimes for class.
Oh, yeah.
And I would watch with him.
Yeah, I remember actually funny story that there's like, it was I think summer 2010 when I had that surgery to remove a cyst on my butt.
On your ass?
Which is the lamest shit ever. I literally had a pimple on my butt.
There, but it's okay.
So I was incapacitated for the summer, and Netflix was still doing
summer. I don't believe so.
Yeah,
I think so.
I was. My ass was out of commission.
You were like a Victorian man.
I was an alien
sitting
child.
on the couch.
I'm not kidding. This is what happened to me in 2010.
All right.
And I remember Inception came out, and I was maybe just good enough then that my ass was feeling okay to go out and see Inception, but it hurt.
I do remember you standing up and watching movies for hours.
Yeah, they told me to do that.
No.
Oh, I'm really gullible.
No.
But anyway, that summer it was Netflix still in the era of DVD shipments, so you could like get the Blu-rays or the DVDs.
And he loves Blu-rays.
Never did that though.
Oh no, we did. We had a
Never did Netflix.
Okay. Well, I would either do that or
Your other dad must have.
maybe I'm just. Wait, who?
Oh,
There's another one.
no. I just saying we never got. It doesn't matter.
I did. I
It's
had
a
an
good
account.
story. Why let the truth get in the way of
No,
a good
exactly.
story?
The good story here is that in the midst of watching these movies on the weekends, it would be stuff like
Rentals.
yeah, but like movies like 100 Days of Salo, which is literally people like being like sodomized in an Italian villa, or Hunger, the Steve McQueen movie with Michael Fassbender, where people are throwing shit at each other in an Irish prison. And Claire would be in there and like maybe like tap in for a minute, and then mom come in and go, "Oh, what are you watching?" I'd be like, No, this the Hunger. Yeah, Steve McQueen.
I remember we watched Safe. Yes. I think when you were bedridden. What else did we watch? We watched so many good ones. And then you and me had some fun.
We did.
Was just
we
me
did.
left in the house.
Yeah.
Soylent Green.
Yep.
Oh,
Repo Man.
Yeah, Repo Man is so good.
Yeah, we watched
A lot
a
of
bunch.
Jim Jarmusch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
What was the
we
one
watched
you-
Down by Law together.
Yeah.
I remember the black and white one with
Senior year,
That's a
I
good
remember.
one.
I scream, we scream,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
all
yeah,
scream. Speaking of black and white.
Oh yeah,
Claire picked a
Claire had a
movie.
good pick. So still coming out of the 70s, our theme lately.
We said
she
we were going to
picked-
leave it behind, but here we are talking about
Well,
the 70s again.
You did give me like,
There's a good reason why, though. I liked how your explanation.
yeah.
the other
'cause
day.
You said pick any movie, which is terrifying. That's just so broad. But you guys, I picked it for a couple of reasons. You mentioned it in the first episode that you did about the 70s, and I love that movie so much. And you showed it to us when we were really young. So I remember watching it when we were kids and probably
Identifying with
like,
Addie.
Yeah, loved her, but didn't get the movie, I don't think. And then me and Danny watched it a couple years ago, and I forgot how amazing it is, and like appreciated it on a whole different level. So it felt like the perfect blend of.
It is a good fit, and you're right. I didn't think about that when you mentioned it until you mentioned it the other night at dinner. That it's like it's generational and for you and and we've all gone through that. We've talked about this quite a bit about movies that you see as a young person, and then it's like seeing another movie as you're an adult because you now identify with different characters.
Totally.
Is one of you going to give like a little
Nugget about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for those who aren't familiar with the movie, it's Peter Bogdanovich, 1974.
3 or 4.
Three
It
or
might have been
four.
3, which seems to be was a big year.
Methinks it's 4. But it's great in a career of sort of hits and misses, in my opinion, because Bogdanovich isn't the most reliable director. This is like one of his outstanding bests. And
I agree with that.
It's set during the Dust Bowl, Depression era America, and it's about a kind of grifter con man. What is it?
73.
Oh, well, I stand corrected.
It's okay. It's only
Point taken.
It's 50 plus years ago, so it's okay.
Yeah, but it's great. It was based on a book, which I didn't realize until revisiting. But
Which was a bestseller, Addie Prey.
Addie Prey, and Bogdanovich adapted it while kind of on a career high from doing What's Up, Doc. So he
just
had a
to
lot of
jump
capital.
in, though, there was a script already. Alvin Sargent had written a script that Paramount was...
And they wanted
John Huston was set to direct, actually, and Paul Newman and Nell Newman, his daughter...
I think we looked at the same
I watched the special features.
I was hoping you guys would have all of this info.
Well, Claire has info, too, so...
I have, like, different info. But do you think that that's why they picked like another father-daughter. Like they liked that idea.
Well, what I learned yesterday watching the special features, Polly Platt, right?
Yeah.
Who was Bogdanovich's, I think even then, ex-wife. I think he was already with Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
Anyways, they still had a professional relationship. She was a brilliant production designer.
Yeah.
And
But more
she
than that, it
knew
sounds
them.
like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was
sort of his
a
like
right
creative partner.
Yeah.
She knew Brian, and because he had been in What's Up Doc and Tatum, and she said, her voice, she'd be great for this. And she was imitating her for Peter, and so he went to meet her at Ryan's house. This is before I think he'd cast Ryan O'Neal.
No way.
And he went to the door, and I guess they answered the door, and this is Bogdanovich telling the story, so take it with a grain of salt. And he said, Ryan looked at me and he said, Peter, you look great. You should run on the beach. And Tatum looked at me and went, no, he's not that kind of guy.
That's so
And he goes,
cute.
and I hired her right there because she made such a great observation of this New York guy that was not going to be running on the
That's
beach.
so cute.
And so honest.
I love her so much.
Yeah. I mean, it is a movie that hinges on the success of and the believability of that father-daughter character. It, of course, the running joke in the movie is that it's never unequivocally said that he is her father. And there's like, it's a whole comic motif of like, I don't have your jawline. I don't look like you. And it is her dad.
But he does owe her $200.
He does.
So
yes.
I want my $200. So cute.
There's like so many quotable quotes in this movie. Like I was writing down last night, there's when he's sending the letter back to her family and it's, what is it? Love, affection, and $20 cash or something. Then he has to change it. Love,
first
affection.
25.
And
It's first 25.
first 25.
And then they need to go eat or something. 25.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It really is. It's very entertaining.
So
and I
American.
loved it the second time around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's funny. One of the reviews, I guess it was negative that I was reading about, said it was sad. And there is a melancholiness to it because it takes place during the Depression. Mm-hmm. And they're both, I think, two characters that really don't have anyone.
Yeah.
Not to spoil it, but Dad, the fate that Ryan meets before the kind of epilogue of an ending that it does kind of lift your spirits at the end to know that they're going to be together.
Yeah. Yeah.
But prior to that, I mean, he gets the shit kicked out of him.
Classic 70s moment.
Yeah. He's literally against a brick wall.
Yeah.
Nowhere to go.
Dwight.
It's sad.
Very Dwight.
I think he's tired
but
too.
I like that it was
It's just-
handled nicely that you don't see it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
I know.
scary.
It's off camera.
You don't know what they
You
did
just
to
hear
him.
his voice like calling out for
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
And he's tired of this life. I don't think he wants to do this anymore. He's sick of it. But having her around to help grift is great. So I think
they just got out over their skis trying to, because it
Yeah.
sounded like it was too good to be true, the deal that he got.
Yeah, you're going to have to do a
suckered
little
into.
intro with
Yes.
spoiler alert.
Of course,
If
yeah.
you
Well,
watch this movie, there's
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
It's been
been a while.
Anybody hasn't seen it, we're not going to.
It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. Claire, beyond obviously picking it for the reasons you mentioned of like it being kind of something we saw as kids and that we were returning to, what else about the movie strikes you?
Like now?
Yeah.
I mean, her acting. Like obviously as a
She
kid,
really
I was like,
phenomenal.
I love her because she's like funny, and I think the movies we were watching were like Agent Cody Banks. To see like a kid playing like a very adult character was probably like cool and shocking.
Yeah.
As a kid.
And have a lead. I mean, she's in every
smoking.
scene.
Yeah.
In every scene, like right up there with Ryan. I mean, it was like crazy, but yeah, I think that hits me more now as an adult because I'm like, how like insane.
Yeah.
And you've directed kids. Like I feel like that. I mean,
It's if you find somebody that has that thing, it's really special. Makes all the difference.
Yeah.
She's just born to do it. And
Yeah.
but also you could tell she was smart enough to know. She knew what it wasn't like they were just feeding her
no.
things to do. It was a really special performance. She won an Oscar. And
She deserved it. Yeah. No discredit to Bogdanovich, who I have mixed feelings about because I think he's a bit of a self-promoter, but he is talented.
He's a talented
really good guy.
film.
It's a really well-made, well-crafted film. It's very simple, very economical. But I do think in regards to performance, it's one of these things where it's like casting is 90% of the job.
Totally.
Well,
And
most
she's
directors
so
will
good.
tell you that. It's
Yeah.
but that's also part of the job.
Yeah.
For sure. But Polly Platts was the one to put him
She
on.
recommended
to her in the
Tatum,
first
but
place.
Recommended
the book.
story, and then
And
Well,
O'Neills
apparently he
as-
turned it down. Paramount had offered it to him. It was coming off of What's Up, Doc, and also Picture
never seen
Show.
it.
So he was pretty hot
Yeah.
at the time. and wasn't sure what he wanted to do. And they showed him this, and he goes, I didn't even read it. I just kind of passed because I was looking for something else. And I think he had another movie going and in development that fell apart, and it came back to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but I think it was a good marriage because he was the right guy at the time to make that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a funny story about the title, though, that I don't know if you know.
You should tell it, though.
But it's pretty cute. He was listening to music, you know, getting ready to do the rewrites on the script. So he was listening to a lot of period music, and he heard Paper Moon and thought, yeah, this is a great song, and it would make a really cool title. And he said, I went to Paramount, and I said, I'd love to call it Paper Moon. And they went, well, the book was called Addie, Pray, and it was a bestseller. And Bogdanovich said, well, how many people bought it? And they went, oh, it sold over 100,000 copies. And he went, oh, great. We'll get all those people to come and have a massive hit.
Yeah.
He goes, it still didn't work. So he called up. He goes, having him tell this story, you have to find the clip. I'll give you the.
He's a showman.
He's like, he loves talking about himself.
He raconteur.
At the time, I was friendly with Orson Welles. So I called Orson. He was in Rome making a picture. And I asked him about the title. And I said, I'd like to use this title, Paper Moon. And I said, what do you think? And Orson went, I think it's an amazing title. I don't think you even need to make the movie. Just release the title. It's going to be a hit.
They were buddies.
They were
it's
buddies,
true.
but he got Alvin Sargent to write a scene. They already had the carnival
photo
scene, and he wrote that in there, which is a really sweet.
And there's a call back at the end.
And they didn't have an ending when they started shooting. So in a way, it was serendipitous. But then not only did it work, but they called the movie Paper Moon. When the book was re-released, they released it as Paper Moon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It is just a great title. It's one of those kind of marriages of like form and content where like it fits what the movie is. Like Addie Pray would have been fine, but it's like Paper Moon just feels so accurate.
Yeah,
to like
I think Addie Pray, I don't know.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I think something that's like so special about, which this must be more of a testament to the book and the story, but like it's sweet because there's like moments of sweetness, but it's not like a traditional, like it starts with him being kind of like disgruntled and he softens to her. Like he's pretty much a dick all the way through.
Yeah.
Like even when there's moments where he's like, oh, this is going well. And like, you might think he's like, I don't know,
changed or something.
He doesn't. And like, even till the end, like it's
I know.
still
well,
kind of like,
there's, I think after he drops her off and he's kind of driving away, even though he stops because the car's overheating, you could tell. I mean, that was well played. He's still annoyed
when she comes back.
Yeah.
Like, there's still like
kind of. But
well, we were talking about this on the drive over here. That like it's such a great. I mean, in a nutshell, that ending scene sort of is. It lays bare the kind of framework of like what makes the movie work for me tonally. Is that it's like
it's not treacly.
You know, it gets towards sentimentality, but always jackknifes right before it hits the sweet spot because the car's rolling down the road or they got to get, you know, it's like there's things happening where it's like, well, it could have been a cute, sweet moment between them, but the car's in neutral and it's rolling down the hill, so they got to run and get in it. And it's like...
Because of that, it's a wonderful visual, though, because they both get in the car and they're going off on their journey together.
Yeah, but they don't have enough time to be emotional with each other because they're just on to the next grift or on to the next town.
They're both glad to be in the car together.
I know that moment when she's in the house and it's so cute.
Yeah.
I know. I love, and I thought that was well cut, too. You don't need to see the rest of it.
A bit timecodey here, not to interject, but...
Which one?
I think it's in top left.
Cheat sheet.
Oh, we're getting time Cody.
Time Cody Banks.
Oh, we got time Cody. The scene when she's in the house, right, deciding, sort of mentally processing to go back to Ryan O'Neal.
Yep.
It's all done in this like doorway dolly master.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of the coverage to me, well,
it's all about
there is no coverage, which is great. I love that the movies.
It's what she's hearing and seeing.
Laszlo Kovacs, great DP. He also shot Easy Rider.
A lot of deep focus, which I didn't. I don't think I noticed until this.
You know what shot I loved? Are you gonna say the same?
No, go ahead. Yeah, maybe.
When she's like kind of in trouble because she ruined one of the sales, and then he's at the door, and you see her like sitting, kind of pouting, and then she realizes the woman is like rich and walks up and like ends up. Helping get like $25. Yeah. But that scene's so great because it's just the like locked off shot of him, and you see her kind of in the background, and then she gets a little closer and like leans against the tree, and then she gets even closer. Like there's a lot of moments like that.
But and it was well clocked because she kind of clocks some of the things in the house.
Yeah.
That she's got money.
It's really good. Yeah, it's like very just streamlined storytelling. Like I mean, that's such an overused word in regards to like just the whole gambit of what filmmaking is. But it's like there's no added fat, you know, like.
Agreed.
There's a single setup,
or
that
your audience is smart,
exactly,
and not over.
Like you can connect the dots here. Like even I'm thinking of something as seemingly superfluous as the end with her kind of clocking the bootlegging going on. That like it's just literally the 2-shot on them where Ryan O'Neal's facing forward having a cigarette and she keeps peeking back, and then it's like a medium on what's going on inside, and she's like, "There's something going on. They're bootleggers. Like I can tell." It's like,
I mean, how many movies have we seen where you'd see her looking, and they'd cut to what she's looking at, and you hear her going, "Oh, what those guys are doing?"
That's why
obviously that's what she's thinking.
Exactly. The end moment to me was like I was really consciously clocking that of how restrained it is to kind of. You know, because that's a big story beat for her to be back home with her surviving family or whatever, whoever she's dropped off with, it's her aunt or something.
Mm-hmm.
Her aunt.
And when she gets up and she kind of like plays with the piano and then goes over to the dinner table, I'm like, it's all just in this one kind of medium wide that follows with her. And they let that play out rather than doing, I was just thinking about how many other ways it could be kind of sliced and diced in terms of coverage and it would ruin it.
It was nominated for sound for an Oscar. And there was just you bringing that piano scene up because when she goes over to the piano, which is part of, I think I hope it's a conscious choice. She hits a key and it's kind of dead. It just goes like there's no resonance to it. Yeah. Like the piano, clearly nobody plays it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my interpretation. I could be completely wrong.
I also noticed there's barely any music.
It's all like needle drop.
Silent when he's running from the guys, silent. And I was like,
scary.
When would that it's scarier.
But it's way,
because you're like waiting to hear them behind him. Like it's so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the music that is in there is all period stuff, which helps set the scene.
And is it all diegetic? Like, is it when they're at the car? Like, I feel like there's
other people say diegetic.
It's a newer term.
It's not newer. People use it in like gaming and shit.
Needle drop. They were all records. Source. It doesn't matter.
Diegetic is the source.
It's called source.
Needle drop.
That used to be.
But that means like a good
record.
That's a track.
That's like source would be if you're in a bar and there's music playing. It's from the.
What is it?
Source.
Okay.
Which is diegetic. It used to be source.
So Paper Moon as a song is both source.
Interesting thing about the song. So I don't know if you guys caught in the trailer or in the credits that Rudy Fair was a famous editor who worked with John Huston, which is ironic.
About who edited this too.
He worked with John Huston, and I think he was head of editorial at Paramount at the time. But it said that the music supplied by Rudy Fair's record collection.
Ooh. Who is that?
So he had a personal collection.
It's sort of similar to what Tarantino does, which I love, is that all of any needle drop in a movie of his, they're from his records. He brings his own albums in to have them transferred.
He wants
I thought you didn't like that.
No, I loved it.
Oh, but you got mad that he made surf rock popular.
No.
Oh, I do remember you having a bit of a
he had nothing to do with it.
Bit of a bone to pick.
That was starting to bubble under. Like a lot of people were starting to listen to surf music again, and he just happened to put it in a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then everybody that was writing about it was going, "Oh my God, surf music!" And it's like, well, he was at the edge of something that was happening. I had to finish myself. You know,
let him finish.
It has nothing to do with Tarantino. He was just cool and listening to cool stuff. But to read about it at the time, it was if he had rediscovered surf music.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he didn't.
He just had good taste.
He had a good use of it.
It's excellent.
It's the curation.
Perfect. Yeah.
That counts. But we got a little off track there.
You know what else was a great scene? When they're in the car and he's like, I'm dropping you off right now. And she's like, fine, like I'll look at the map. And they're like,
they need a station.
He keeps being like, oh, that's out of the way. And she's like, okay, this one. He's like, well, that's also out of the way. Like, it's so cute.
And that's then he'll go, but if you go there, we'd go through this place. We could,
Yeah.
So he didn't want to drop her off.
But that scene like captured the whole dynamic of the movie. They're both like stubborn and like, oh, it's so fucking cute.
It's great.
It's really cute. It's good.
I mean, there's just, again, there's no fat on this movie. I think
good
it's just
running
time.
It doesn't feel long. It doesn't feel like you're missing anything.
No.
It doesn't ever belabor a point. And oh man, the photography is so great. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I don't know if this was in the special feature kind of featurette thing you watched, but I found this somewhere on the internet that because Peter Bogdanovich and Orson Welles were so chummy and buddies that when Laszlo Kovacs was prepping for this, Orson was over a lot at Peter's house, or I think flopping at his house for a while because like Peter had some place in Beverly Hills and like Orson was bankrupt. Like sleeping,
like
there?
couch surfing.
Like
Does
to
anyone
flop?
say
It would
flopping?
be a big couch for Orson.
Back in the day, I think Orson Welles would refer to what he's doing as flopping.
Staying there.
Yeah, just like flopping on the.
Yeah, flop.
Okay.
You know, flop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was
Okay.
flopping at his pad in Beverly Hills, and Laszlo Kovacs was like,
term.
"Yes, definitely is.
It is a term.
Okay.
It is." But yeah, he
You
was
could
sleeping.
flop here. Somebody would say, you could flop here tonight.
Crash.
Crash here.
Okay, he was crashing at his place,
Okay.
and Laszlo Kovacs knew he wanted to do in black and white, and that was like the decision Peter had made because I think they
Yeah,
did
shot
that
in black and white.
right to great effect in Last Picture Show too.
Oh, I know what you read.
They used a red filter on the lens with black and white stock, which gave it this sort of like
Very John Ford thing.
the
What,
wide.
wait, what does that do? Explain
Makes
that.
the clouds really pop.
Yeah.
It's a very cool
It
look.
sort of like reduces the spectrum of light that's coming into like a narrower bandwidth. Like
Okay.
I don't know the exact science behind it, but like essentially for those like wide shots, like even in the beginning at the cemetery with the clouds, like everything's so
Great
kind
for
of
sky.
sharp,
Also
high
her
contrast. Yeah.
Oh, my argument is that, not even an argument, but my hypothesis is that Wim Wenders was directly inspired by Paper Moon when he made Alice in the Cities.
Oh yeah.
There's so many similarities, even in like costume design.
I have to look at that again.
It's so good.
I mean,
Way sweeter. I think he has a tendency to like,
Be more sentimental.
yeah.
he is more.
It's less
still a
like
great movie.
jaded, but
Yeah. I might get a little more wine.
yeah. Will you pause?
Go ahead.
the
Yeah.
juice?
Well,
Oh, well,
have-
we could just keep it rolling.
We'll just keep it
I'll-
rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do edit these, as does
I know
Dan.
you do. But yeah, that moment in the car, and then obviously, what's her name? The one from Young Frankenstein that we love.
Madeline Kahn.
Oh my God, amazing cameo.
Who I think that was her first, or she was in, I think she was also in What's Up, Doc.
Push on the top,
He liked
Papa.
to use a lot of the same
down.
people. And he had gone to New York to cast people, and she was in a show there, and that's
Yeah.
how he met her. And I
It's
think
funny
it was,
because she basically plays the Young Frankenstein character. Was she typecast a lot? Is that kind of ditzy?
he did hear him tell it on the little interview that I saw. Peter said, he goes, I told Madeline how sorry I'm doing this affected voice whenever I tell him, but
I like
It's
it.
a little
Did
bit
you have
more. He
more?
goes, well, I was telling Madeline. This,
yeah. He goes, he said,
I
I
don't
told her, I
think
said,
that's
you're
right.
very funny. And she didn't think she was funny, but she is. She's very funny. I thought, yeah, she's really funny.
What do you mean she didn't think she's a comedian?
Maybe she was in a straight play when he saw her.
Well,
I
Peter
don't know.
Bogdanovich
I
is
hate
one of
that
those
vibe.
guys that I
I
think
don't
the
think he's
older he
right
got,
there.
the more it was like everything was his idea.
Yeah,
or
like I
every-
made
you
this
know.
person a comedian.
Yeah. Well, because you have
Should
to remember
we-
too what happened to his. I mean,
Yeah,
he
it's
sort of
horrible.
stopped
Well,
making.
wait, I want to wait because I still
Okay.
have a couple more Paper Moon things.
Yeah, let's
and
do
then
it.
we can get into.
We do have
What,
some
what
lore.
are we going to get into? What
just the
have you
personal lives of
A
the
little
people
lore.
involved.
Oh, okay.
of
This
the-
is
yeah.
all. This will be new.
This will be new
me.
to you.
Yeah.
All
So
Well, We want to keep. Are we going to keep it to the film?
it's still connected to the film.
Okay.
So
Claire's not done.
I'm fascinated by them being father-daughter. So I was looking it up, and it's weird because there's kind of parallels. Like her mom didn't die, but Ryan O'Neal was already divorced from Tatum's mom when the movie was made.
Okay.
So I think her mom dealt with like addiction issues and was just like not a fit mother. So she went to live with Ryan O'Neal in Malibu. Then they got, which makes sense with the story.
That's
of,
where
like,
he met. Yeah.
but didn't know him that well. And like, I think, it'd probably be weird. Like it kind of makes sense for their characters. Like they weren't that close, but he was like kind of a father,
Yeah.
And then he didn't attend the Oscars with her, and they were estranged from that point on because he was jealous that she won an Oscar. Can you imagine your 10-year-old kid
And not
winning?
being there, I would be crying. I would be so
know.
proud.
I know.
That's crazy.
And they were estranged for most of her life, and
Well-
then they like reconnected later in life, right before he like died.
Didn't Tammy, your mom, my wife Tammy, didn't she tell us a story about how it's something she talked about?
What?
She
Tatum?
ran into him years later.
Oh, and he
and he
hit on her.
had some drinks and he
Yeah.
hit on her. He didn't recognize her.
I didn't remember mom saying that.
Yeah, she said it the other night.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
that
And-
was another part of the story because he didn't know her. Like when she was in her 20s, they met
Yeah.
at a party, and
Yeah.
he hit on her.
He was like hitting on her
Damn.
Awful. And he was with Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett.
after.
Yeah.
at that point.
Well, yeah. It's interesting because I never really delved into the personal life of Ryan O'Neal until Claire started kind of giving me these details. And like he did have a
I don't know a lot about his.
pretty tumultuous personal life,
Yeah.
Like And I guess he always did kind of play characters that were like, a little imperfect. Because he was in that era of Hollywood where it was like kind of becoming this anti-hero thing. Yeah. He wasn't always like, the only time he was like a leading man was Love Story with
which
Steve
sort of
McQueen's,
put him on the map. I mean, I don't know where it fell in his chronology of his career, but I think 70s, it was really early. Yeah, it was before, for sure, before Paper Moon.
Well, I think this is an interesting segue because I do want to talk more about this and pick your brain, Claire, because you did a deep dive. But he is really good in this movie.
He is good.
Like, I continually am impressed revisiting it, just how good of a performance it is. But it is that same thing where it's like so much of it, I think, is what Tatum is bringing to the table because it's a tennis match between them the whole time. And like they got to play with each other.
But I thought he was really good.
He is.
Yeah.
He embodies that character.
I never
so
felt
well.
that
like
anybody was sort of one-upping anybody else.
No.
And
also
how sad that he felt that way about
I know.
Kid.
To not attend her winning, like, that is a great Oscar speech too. We watched it on the way here, and like it's so brief.
She was probably terrified, but it's so cute. She just goes, "I want to thank my director and my dad."
Yeah,
and walks off. It's so cute.
So cute. Adrian Brody could have taken a page out of her book, huh?
We need a rim shot on here. Oh,
woo! Adrian's ass with that.
That's right, Adrian, bad boy. Don't you ever talk that long again?
Well, what did Conan's comment when they asked him to do the Oscars again next year? He said, the only reason I said yes is I want to hear the rest of Adrian Brody's speech.
Oh my God.
That's funny.
They love running back the exact same host. Can they just like...
Oh, he was pretty good.
I know, but like...
It's not easy.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they tried that. Doesn't always work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a thankless job.
What?
It is a thankless job, but it's
great sound, Papa.
Yeah. It's almost unfathomable. No, you can't. It's almost unfathomable.
Fathomable?
Almost unfathomable.
Yeah.
That say that 5 times.
The father of this brilliant young actress would not attend the Academy Awards.
I know that.
To see her
I
win.
find as a parent,
he's in a dark
just
space
as a human
person.
being,
as
I don't
a parent,
get it.
yes, but also we've talked so much about like your parents, same generation, and like I do think that there was just such a different vibe of how people treated kids.
But to be jealous
I know.
of your
I mean,
child,
it's insane.
It is insane.
It shows his own emotional maturity.
But I feel like there were two ends of like a terrifying spectrum for child actors in those decades, where it was either like, who's the famous model that was Brooke Shields' mom, who was like whoring her out. I don't know the nicer way of saying that, but like
essentially
using her daughter to get money and fame and whatever. Or there's the like, I resent you because I don't want you to be better than I am, which is like.
And I think that just comes from, it's all about him. It's not about her.
100%. He's clearly a narcissist.
But
it's
as
like,
a 10-year-old, how could that not hurt? You know?
Yeah, he was
God,
deeply.
I didn't realize that it happened.
She was young enough. I mean, she was young, but it affected, their relationship for decades after that. It's like.
Yeah. And then she married John McEnroe, which is crazy.
Did you know that?
Yeah, no, I knew that. They were together for quite a while.
That's a fun, like, before Nepo babies were a thing, but like fun Nepo baby thing of like marrying a famous tennis star.
Yeah. And they had a couple kids, right?
Yeah. I think they were together for quite a while.
She continued to act, it looked like, and then kind of
in like a couple things. Like she was in like like Bad News Bears or some weird.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty much on the heels of that Paper Moon
with Walter Matthau.
Yeah,
but not. I'm like shocked that she didn't.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, like Jodie Foster. I mean, they're very different in terms of performance.
They did a TV series, a very short-lived ABC TV series adaptation of Paper Moon that I think ran for less than a season with Jodie Foster.
I was like, how is that a show?
Yeah, as the Addie Prey character.
So stupid.
Well, I mean, then it becomes just a silly.
It's like big.
Well, what con are they going to do this week?
Literally. It ruins the entire purpose of the.
Yeah, the movie's a perfect snapshot of a moment, whereas the show would be.
Well, and it
weird.
It's no small thing that the time it's set in, that period is, and to talk about Polly Platt again, a brilliant
icon.
Production design. I mean, all the little details were great.
Totally.
You should get into that more.
Overdone.
There's an interesting. She had an interesting story though, because she was interviewed on this as well, and I got a kick out of this. I think they're all East Coast people. She was from the East Coast, and she said, I realized we were looking at these small towns, and back in the 30s, cars would park at an angle to the street. And I went, that's not I mean, what a weird thing to single out. Like, so we had all the cars parked that way.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Well, people still do that though, and they do it all over the country.
Not all the time.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like a normal main street. You'd see
You
a
don't
bunch of
always
cars
see him at the
parallel
angle.
parked.
But also, more interestingly, I want to get on to Polly Platt. So Polly Platt, Peter
Throw
Bogdanovich
some respect on Polly Platt.
I did.
tonight.
She was
no,
brilliant.
I know, you both are.
This is really about correcting the record here. And there's a lot of information out there. But I remember being really young, seeing Last Picture Show and watching some, again, the DVD era where stuff was on the disc.
In a lot of
She was, but like how heartbreaking it is to kind of in brief go through their story that Peter Bogdanovich and Polly Platt were like childhood sweethearts. His first wife, they had 2 kids together. She was his collaborator, his not just his production designer, but like his creative muse. Like,
and he was a critic before that.
She was the one who gave him the idea to shoot Last Picture Show in black and white. She was the one who pointed him towards a lot of the material that he would end up adapting. Same with Paper Moon. Same with her putting him on to the O'Neills. Yeah. And he really mistreated her throughout the course of his life. And I don't know if he ever really had a moment of kind of reckoning with that. It felt like Peter kind of got to a point where he had success and he had the trappings of what he felt he needed, and he just jettisoned everything else in his life that he didn't need.
It might have been What's Up, Doc, when he fell in love with Sybil Shepherd.
No, it was Last Picture Show.
Last Picture Show.
It was on the set of Last Picture Show. I remember you telling me this when we watched it, because it was even as a young aspiring filmmaker, it kind of rang as like a cautionary tale for me, where he was making this film and kind of falling in love with Sybil Shepherd because she was his leading lady. And on the set of that movie, that Polly Platt was also PDing.
Yeah.
He was blatantly just carrying on an affair.
Watched it happen.
Disgusting.
Crazy.
I know.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, it's not, I'm not trying to do some character assassination on Peter Bogdanovich, because I do love his career, and I think the guy, rest in peace, like, he had a really interesting run in Hollywood, and he touched on so many different genres, and he was,
he loved movies.
He should be remembered, but like, I just think it's always these little unseen kind of behind the scenes sideline things that are very interesting to me.
In the industry, people that are aware of that era know that story, but it's not something that everybody knows.
It's not advertised.
Which is why something like this, if anybody hasn't seen this movie, give her some props, because she was a huge part of.
She was very much, I think, the type of like silent
best part
partner
of his career.
Oh, for
sure.
So
then she worked with him after he did that.
Well, on this apparently.
That's crazy.
But I was telling Claire on the way over here, maybe this was my read on his career, because I'm not by any means a Bogdanovich completist. Like, I haven't seen a lot of his later stuff, which kind of seems like it tapers off in quality.
Well,
but that's probably because exactly
there you go.
They needed each other.
She was the one. Yeah. I mean, I believe it.
Well, that was going to be, I think, our segue into more about Peter, because another movie we all love, Star 80.
Star 80.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of
much different film.
A version of him is in.
Yeah.
Yes.
A very difficult film to find.
Oh,
really?
Yes. I still don't think I've.
Yeah, we definitely.
Oh, you mean physically?
Yeah, physically.
You want it.
Oh, right.
I'll find you it.
Yeah.
Remember I had that really cool poster?
I will find you it.
Yeah.
I will find it for him. Thank you.
Yeah, we rented it when we saw it. It was on VHS when we saw it.
Yeah, I saw it on VHS with you.
I saw it in the theater.
Oh, yeah. When you first saw it.
Listeners/viewers.
Yes.
The connection here is that Peter Bogdanovich plays a sort of character in Star 80, which is a movie about a Playboy bunny who gets murdered.
True story.
Mm-hmm. But also, didn't they change some of the names? Like, his name isn't in it.
I think because it was so like
Based
ripped from the headlines
Yeah.
and recent news that legally, when they did the film, they had to kind of blur a few details. But
he was involved with Dorothy.
But it's still
Stratton.
it's Dorothy Stratton in the
Correct.
movie.
Yeah.
And
Eric Roberts plays her manager.
Is amazing in it.
He's fantastic in it.
It's one of the best performances ever. The fact that man did not get an Oscar for that is crazy.
Insane.
Eric Roberts.
That is like
you're a G.
Top 5
You're
performances, maybe.
So
he
good.
Plays a psychopath.
Yeah. We got to have Eric Roberts on the pod, dude.
Oh, yeah, let's get him.
Yeah. Honestly, he's around, dude.
I worked with him.
I know. Let's hit him up.
I can reach out to him.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, so the link here is that this was a common theme for Peter Bogdanovich, because it happened again with Dorothy Stratton.
Right.
She was making
the
this
young
sort
version
of
his
finding a young ingenue.
They look similar too.
Seducing a young ingenue. Yeah.
Sybil looked like Polly Platt. He had a type.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Creepy.
But this is getting gossipy.
No, but this is what it's.
But what's so
okay.
fascinating about that movie is that you watch her basically just go from like one man to the next that's just trying to like own her and whatever. So she starts with the Eric Roberts character, and then it's Hugh Hefner, and then it's Peter Bogdanovich, but he falls in love with her, and this happened in real life, and then she gets murdered, which this is public knowledge because she was a real person. But he ended up marrying her little sister, which was that his last relationship?
To my knowledge, I think so. I mean, given the guy's track record, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some other sort of crazy pivot. Or
I sort of lost.
face.
I mean, I lost track of him as a filmmaker, but I know he was always sort of.
He did in his later life pick up bit parts. I mean, not bit. He was on Sopranos.
Yeah, he did some acting.
Pretty long arc.
He was still. He was a go-to for film discussion and
but it's
very knowledgeable.
Yeah, it's true. He wrote a book about the Stratton thing, something like The Last Unicorn or the Fallen Unicorn or something, and it came out quite a bit after the movie did, because Star 80 was, right on the heels of Bob Fosse had done Lenny, all that jazz, and then Star 80. And Star 80's done great movie. Again,
really
you guys should seek it out. But it's done kind of in a docudrama style, which shouldn't off-put people because the bulk of the film is sort of like the dramatized retelling of this thing, but occasionally they'll have these sort of character interviews, if you remember, where it's like they're talking to the doctor or the friend or whatever. So it was that recent in the news that it was like kind of fresh material, and Bogdanovich had not finished his little memoir, his take on it. And when it came out, it kind of got panned by critics because people were like, it feels like you're rewriting history. You're making yourself out to seem like the do-gooder. His whole narrative in the book was how he was like, I only ever wanted to protect Dorothy, like Hugh and the Playboy Mansion. They were the bad ones, but it was like he was going to these parties and like, it's a very kind of, the guy should be appreciated. It's like we were saying, but he does have this, he has a pretty, he can tell a tall tale, I think. He has no problem stretching the truth if it suits him. Yeah. So it's just interesting because, he did this several times in his career. And
Also, another connection, it's ironic that happened with Sybil Shepherd and Heartbreak Kid is about that very thing.
Yes. Yeah. Literally. Which is another great movie.
Another great movie.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah. So that's a good point.
So good.
Short and
Charles
sweet.
Grodin.
Charles Grodin is maybe the funniest.
Oh my God.
Like underrated comedian. What did we just watch?
Midnight Run. Which is so good.
Oh
we should also cover that.
Funny.
That's
Robert De Niro.
Movie.
Martin Brest, who is in director jail for eternity, I guess, after doing Geely with Ben Affleck and J-Lo.
Oh.
A Geely.
No, that's a really, really fun movie. We did watch it.
Yeah, Midnight Run,
right? It.
Yeah, you remember?
It's so funny.
I was like drunk and kept saying, it's a Western. It's a revisionist Western. Because it is.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like original Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
God,
Steve Martin, that it feels like Grodin.
I mean, it's a road picture.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Charles Grodin kind of almost was like the prototypical, like
very Steve
dry, kind of like flat affect.
Neurotic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very straight, kind of just nonplussed like by anything. Anyway.
It's so funny though. So many of the quote, like when I think of Heartbreak Kid, like the amount of things that you guys quoted when we were kids that are now just in my like library of like, don't feed someone candy when they do it.
Don't do that.
Don't draw circles
on someone's chest.
It's an amazing performance.
It
and
is.
You feel so bad for her, but he's also like
he's likable.
He's somehow likable.
He's somehow a redeemable.
Yeah.
Asshole.
I mean, it's how I feel about Albert Brooks and Modern Romance too, where it's like embrace. I mean, and that movie does rub people the wrong way because I know over the years I've like evangelized for that movie so much that I want to show it to everybody.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10 people are like, this is fucking hilarious. But occasionally I have shown these people and like, I hate him. He's annoying. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the risk you take portraying a character that is, but I think the results are always more interesting to portray something like that.
You guys have to do a whole episode on Modern Romance.
Oh my God. That's so good.
Well, you'll have to come back and do that.
Yeah.
You got to come back and do it. It's like a scene by scene breakdown of the genius of that movie.
I know it's.
I wish I could do Quaaludes. Yeah, that scene is like my favorite scene.
That is hilarious.
The long extended take of him doing Quaaludes in that movie is so good.
Have you done? You did Quaaludes probably in the 80s, right?
You just once.
How was it?
I just didn't. I was so rubbery. I felt like I was gonna.
I needed to
like lay down. I didn't really like it.
You liked an upper.
No. No.
You're into the La Coquena?
I like having a. I love to tequila or,
Rat.
joint every once in a while back then. But I was not a big...
lewd guy.
No.
Hey, so Verna Fields edited Paper Moon, who famously also cut Jaws. Saved Jaws from the...
Became a vice president of Universal because of Jaws.
Yes.
Really?
So she...
And deservedly. I don't know.
She was behind a lot of very major sort of like coups in terms of like film history.
She was their editing guru.
But very cool. Is impeccably cut. I will say there's just so many moments in this movie where like, getting time, Cody.
No fat.
We're getting time, Cody. Getting time, Cody.
No fat.
There's just no fat, and we so time Cody up here.
I deal with this day to day, and I know you have, and I know anyone that works in this industry does, of like, people don't think the audience is smart enough to understand things that they're obviously going to understand. And so to see something so perfectly like...
People do. It's when you have a group of people collectively, nobody wants to...
It's literally... Again, modern romance. The scene where he's like, I think we need to see the guy thinking about it. He's like, I don't think so. I think you'll get it.
Just to give some context, the modern romance, the main character, the protagonist is a film editor.
Yeah. It's perfect.
So the humor comes from all the nuances of like having to work on a scene and but you're
Which
right.
I'm sure appeals to us at a level that maybe not everybody would find appealing. But it's just funny. I don't think you need to really know what his job is. He could be
It's in my Letterboxd top 4. But
it's actually in my Letterboxd top 4 as well. Actually, maybe not.
Claire, you made a good point, though. I think that's quite astute. That there's what happened?
Where
did you see? You pointed at something.
You said where's something?
Where's my phone? I was gonna check my Letterboxd top 4, but it's not.
Oh, it's over there.
Necessary.
That's okay.
Let me know when you want more wine. By the way, we got it right here. It is quite astute what you said, because I agree. And being an editor, well, again, it's not specific to career, because I think these are conversations.
No, it happens in every...
Yeah, exactly. It's this like metric of like, okay, cool, we've cooked up this really good thing, but now we're going to think ourselves out of quality by wondering how it would hit a hypothetical viewer or audience. And it's like, you can entertain that line of thinking for, a little while, because it's good to make sure that what you're communicating is received. But I think there's so much power in something that can kind of just pull back a little. And like Verna Fields, I think, probably brought that to the editing room on this film, where it's like, it just really isn't.
It goes back to what we were talking about, all those really wonderful moments where they're not telling us anything, but we're seeing everything that's going on. Yeah. We know when she's observing, we know what she's looking at, we know what she's thinking.
It is crazy because on paper, this movie could be so like, it could have gone so wrong. Like, it's such a kind of, what's the word? Treacly? Is that what you use? Like, over sentimental.
Over sentimental.
It's like British term, right? Like,
so,
it's just
also
sort of
like twee. Would be the modern version of that word.
Very twee. It could have been twee. It could have been treacly.
But what are you these days? What are you? Gen Z?
Well, I'm cuss, but don't call me out.
I'm not calling you out. I'm just trying to keep track.
Factually, I am closer to Gen Z.
Respectfully,
I think historically and famously, I'm closer to Gen Z than I am to millennial. Okay. I'm cussed. I'm 95. I'm cussed.
You listen, we talked about this our first episode. They're all terms. They don't even matter. It's just marketing.
I don't know why that all started. It started
we're
with
human
baby
beings.
boomers, and it hasn't stopped.
I'm a boomer also.
She's a zoomer.
I'm like a boomer Gen Z. Yeah, zoomer.
She's a zoomer, but she's also a flower child, flower power.
I'm not a flower child.
I am not that.
Certainly not that.
No, certainly not.
How do we get on that?
We were talking about
modern romance.
No. We were talking about Verna Fields. No, but there was like actually like a really specific point we were just making about the film.
But that it was beautifully cut. Oh, and not underestimating your audience.
Yeah.
That's what that point was. Right?
Not over explaining things. Twee. Okay, so the fact that the film could have been read or represented in a way that would have been like over sentimentalized, and again, like you said, Claire, I mean, some of this might have come from the source. Like, I don't know, the book probably had a very specific tone, but I think one of the things I love about the movie too is that it does have a very perfectly crafted tone. And anybody who's ever tried their hand at filmmaking knows how hard it is to maintain a tone across a 2 hour and a half movie. It's like, it is really difficult. And so many pieces have to be in alignment. But I think the prevailing tone in this movie of kind of melancholy and bittersweetness, and there is an emotional spectrum, but it's not overplayed.
With all of that baggage, still have, like, you get the feeling at the end that they're going to.
Yeah.
That she's
It's
not
true,
going
though.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's like the perfect example of bittersweet because it also never goes too dramatic.
No,
they
Like,
don't
I feel
have
like
a
if that
big
were made
cuddly,
now-
warm.
it
fuzzy
reminds me
moment.
too of, you said Vim vendors for
you do
Alice in the
say Vim.
Cities. I say Vim because
I just feel like I wouldn't say like Wieners.
Vino, schnitzel.
But that's okay.
Could you say
I'm saying
Vim Wenders?
in case
Yeah.
in case
Vim Wenders.
Wenders. In case he's watching, Vim Vendors.
We're big
you,
fans.
Papa.
We're big fans, Papa. Love you. I love you, Vim. And I think Jim Jarmusch was also quite kind of a stylistic child of this film, because I think about a film like Down by Law or Mystery Train, in which like there are threats, things happen, but it's never that, like, even in Mystery Train they go and shoot up that bar, but like everyone's okay at the end, and like there's always a sense of like, like there's a sense of like, it's even in Paper Moon, it's like the threats are there, but it's also kind of I don't know. It plays like a storybook. Still,
and they set up, but all the little things, like you're talking about tone, like they sort of set up what ends up happening to him, because he comes close at that one house when the guy that is a cop.
I know.
When he's trying to do the
but
Bible,
she
she's
saves
fearless.
his ass.
But she's also fearless. Like she still goes up and is like, "No, it costs this much." Like, yeah. You're right. I mean, there's so much like.
So you know that he's going to step the wrong way at some point, and he does.
Right.
And I like the way that they didn't
he's
linger
the
on
element.
it. It wasn't like we learned all of the elements of this thing that he was going to pull with this guy. We don't really need to.
That's
know.
another great thing. I love the details of her discovering the thing for the Bible and like her name, and like she sees it in the back seat, and she's so smart. She's piecing it together. It's like a perfectly
she doesn't
designed.
have to go.
Yeah.
I think he's conning.
No,
Yeah, or when she turns
Yeah.
the ink print, and she doesn't say her name. Like we know.
Yeah.
we get it.
She's
like,
figuring it out.
She's clocking it. She's
But
piecing
also-
it together.
So good at acting. I mean, again, those moments are so like subtle. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even to just.
And again, and to go to both of your points, not having a lot of music in there or any really.
I don't remember.
It doesn't steer you one way or the other.
I'm watching her.
It
I'm not
doesn't
paying
hit
attention.
you. Like, I didn't notice it. You know how sometimes you'd be like, where is, like, it's missing music. This
and
is
now
weird.
so many things are just front to back music.
But there's a lot of just silence. Like when they're driving together and there's like tension, or when like, he's like running.
I also love the bookends. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but in the very beginning when we meet the Ryan O'Neal character, she's at the funeral for her mom, but you hear the backfiring and the car kind of pulling up.
Yeah.
Same sound that the car when he's leaving is making.
Yes. And it is sort of this sense of like he's jumping from one sinking ship to another. He's a grifter. They're going to get through it together.
Also, like not needing any foreshadowing.
No,
or like
nothing.
any like
they just get right into it.
Like he literally just pulls up in the car. Like you didn't have to see him doing some stupid like.
And there was a scene actually that they cut out of the script that was
what?
It was going to start with the something with the mother
him,
when she's still alive.
Right.
And then it was Addie in school or at a movie theater. I can't remember it now.
They don't need
I'm paraphrasing,
it.
but and they came up and said, your mother has passed away. There was like a whole opening, so that we all knew what.
That's a Verna. Really that feels like a Verna Fields choice.
No, they didn't shoot it.
They did.
Peter. They cut it from the script.
Oh, my mistake.
Well, she might have suggested.
Yeah, she might have suggested. It's that theory of enter late, exit early.
Yes.
In terms of a metric of how to move in and out of scenes. I mean, that's something that's like sort of one of these bromides of like screenwriting theory. And it doesn't always apply because some films.
You need to have a setup.
It's like a truism or a thing that people kind of just bandy about, like a platitude that, you just hear stated a lot. But I think it has value, especially in this movie where it's
Agreed.
like, they really are. They're bringing you in just when you need to be there, and then you're on to the next thing.
They're in the car together.
It feels like, you got like a little glimpse into their life.
I also like that they don't linger on things that we really don't need to see. It's like he agrees to take her to her aunt's, and we don't go see her get all her stuff and do all that.
They just are on to the next thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to drop you off at the train station.
Yeah.
I
know that part's so great.
Yeah, drink your knee high and eat your Coney Island. Now drink your knee high and eat. Did you guys look up what a knee high is?
I know.
No, but did you notice there's like ads?
It's Dr. Pepper owns that company now.
Yes.
So knee high was what?
There was a soft drink company.
that
you
they
were
alive
regional. And depression.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was not.
So did you drink one of those down
you
there?
were a kid down.
Did you sip on a knee high?
They bought they'd owned Dr. Pepper and 7-Up and all. It's the same company, but Knee High was. I
They
think
became
such a
Dr.
sick
Pepper,
name.
like the modern day conglomerate of Coca-Cola Company.
They are
But
now
it's not
part
a
of
dark
a big
drink.
company.
What was she drinking? Like an orange soda?
Oh, they made it was like whatever,
But
it was a
they
brand.
were all called
Yeah.
Knee High?
It was a brand. It was like
Cole, you know what that reminds me of?
Like Poppy.
Is the
Cherry
song
Coke.
they had a different. This is funny. You might remember this too, but Britney Spears did a song called "Soda Pop."
Oh, it's so good.
That's
I'm
so
sure
bad.
you'll put a clip of that.
probably.
It's an insane song, but
it
it has
is.
nothing
To
to
my
do with
to
what
the
we're
audio. By the way, I should say this to the audio only listeners. On our YouTube channel that Danny curates and takes care of for us, we do put some clips and things in. I'm avoiding those on the podcast because I'm trying to just keep it to our discussion. But
everything
if you're
we
interested,
do falls under fair use, and conglomerates. If you want to come after my ass, I got a couple.
Just come
things
after
to
him.
say.
Yeah. They
no,
will.
we're being very delicate with that usage.
Yeah.
But if you're interested and you're listening, you
It
can
is
always
fun.
listen on
It's fun
YouTube
to have. I
too.
think we got to put Tatum's Oscar acceptance.
I know her acceptance speech is so good.
It's so cute.
adorable.
Sweet. She's wearing a little suit.
She's in a tux.
Yeah.
Oh
She's
my
adorable
God.
in this movie.
I know.
She's truly
She
perfectly
is.
cast.
It
and
reminded me a
embodies
lot
that.
of you when you were little because she had.
I'm not a boy. There's she has so many quotables. Like
When they take her and she's got the bow in her
Yeah.
hair. Oh, that's one of my favorite grifts they do is when
the dog,
the
20.
the cash exchange of like
That one.
just
Yeah.
keeping the conversation going so she gets
Hey,
so
then you
confused.
give me a
that-
5.
Yeah,
I'll give you back
can you break
the
this
ones.
for me? And then when they she's like,
I'll give you
something's
10. You
not
gave me back the
right.
2 5s. Wait, why don't I just give you the 2 5s?
That's
Yeah,
one of the
you give me
best
back
ones.
my
these,
Yeah.
then you can give me 20 back.
Yeah.
That
so
that grift, and then when she does the
$20.
the 20 with the
was
my
great.
that was my aunt, and then give her back that $20 bill.
Yeah.
Keep better,
So
keep
great.
keep a better eye on the
I
cash
know.
register.
It was fun because it doesn't become like, here's how people would con people. But it's you see enough of it to get you learn
and you
a little
watch
bit.
her pick it up without
really
an annoying
fast.
it's just so
It's natural
Like,
to her.
Which makes
She
you wonder what
watches-
her relationship with her mom, who was clearly,
I know.
somebody who,
Yeah.
not a virtuous person.
Right.
And she knows it.
Yeah.
But it's so great because you barely even see her pay attention to the first time he does the give me a 5, I'll give you 5 ones, blah blah blah, and then she does it for the paper moon.
Yep. She
Or
runs
right
the
before
same.
that, right before the paper.
She
moon
runs the
photograph.
same
Yeah.
game. Yeah, I know.
I know. I thought that was a really nice moment. That she had set it up to take a picture with her dad. And
Yeah, it works.
if it's her dad, it's her dad.
But
Yeah,
it's
of
not too
course.
dramatic.
I
It's
never
perfect.
doubted that.
It's never
No, it's not.
obvious enough. Yeah.
Well, it does pull it. Because since they didn't have an ending, that picture ends up becoming a big part of it because she leaves it for him in the car and he sees it and then kind of pulls over.
Yeah.
2 mows. It's so cute.
And she's not smiling in it.
No.
Yeah.
It's a really cute picture.
Yeah.
And apparently, Polly Platt had a picture of herself at a carnival with her dad.
From that
And
era.
that was a part of the inspiration for that,
Inspiration,
using Matt
right.
as
She was
But
so cool.
I guess maybe we should also remark on the fact that in the 70s, this does kind of tessellate with what we talked about episode 1 of looking backwards through another period. Like the 30s became quite a fertile ground for sort of investigating what makes America and what's at the root of our discontent. Chinatown is set in the 30s, Paper Moon set in the 30s. Those are the only two I could think of.
That's it. No more.
On Chinatown, on Paper Moon, on a couple
I think
others.
there might have been.
There's definitely more.
Yeah,
There
there's
are
definitely
more.
more. But you know what I mean? It's it became
Yeah.
this kind of lens
Yeah.
through.
Which is good. You
always
can use
happens.
history
That's true.
to
True.
tell today's stories.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do I do like the 30s via the 70s. Seems like
Yeah.
a kind of interesting
Yeah.
kind of
Which
gateway.
we've talked about this too with the 70s via the 90s is a whole nother funny thing.
Well,
that
the
happened.
20-year cycle, although it seems to be
Yeah.
getting shorter.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Well, I think it's now it's just it's so mixed. But
Just keeping an eye on.
should we talk a little bit more about Claire's background? Because I
Yeah,
feel like she
I-
underplayed herself.
You did
I don't want-
underplay.
it's
She
just
yourself.
works a
not the
lot
point.
on sets.
It's
and
not the point.
It is the point.
It is.
Paper
We-
Moon was the point.
Yeah, but now
Paper Moon was
we
the
can,
point.
let's slide over to just talk a little bit about your set experience.
She was looking at director reels earlier today. I mean, she's way more involved in film and media than she likes to let on. Claire is something of a director herself, albeit in a different capacity, because when she's on set, it's often time to grab and capture content for a variety of platforms. So it's like, she'll go out on these shoots where she's doing, they're checking off a lot of boxes where they're going to be shooting something that's like going to be a web ad, but it's also going to be, they're owned and operated, on their splash page for their website or whatever. So she oversees tone, consistency, aesthetic.
You're not just
big stuff.
Dipping your toe into this.
She's worked with big brands. I can't say them because they big, but she's great. Yeah. She's really talented.
We're all very proud of our Claire here.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed it up.
You don't want to talk about it.
Well, I have told this story with our own family many times, but when I asked Grandpa as like a 5-year-old, what does a director do? And he said, they do everything.
I love my dad, but he did.
I kind of know what he means.
He's right in that a director has to be involved with every element, but you don't do everything.
Right, exactly. As an art director, it's usually like concepting, finding a bunch of references, usually like comping, but then it's like you're working with so many talented people along the way, where it's like the design team will like flesh out a crazy design system that makes everything feel like tied together.
It's
and
a collaboration.
And then it's interesting though. I think a lot of people don't realize how much creative goes into the project before you ever sign a director.
No, I think you're right. People that don't do these kind of jobs, there's a lot of things that happen.
Months and months. So many rounds.
You don't just show up on the set and do it.
And you don't just hand it to that would never work for commercial clients. Like they are not.
Yeah, there's
a lot more
control.
Lot of cooks. Yeah, top down. And it's like interpreting what they want sometimes because they don't either know how to communicate it or translate it. And it's like taking that and essentially having to create some sort of roadmap out of very vague, diffuse idea. I mean, I've heard Claire on calls before, and it's like, it's very, very illuminating to see just kind of the type of people she deals with. And like, I mean, again, there's consistencies across what you do in any part of film or any creative industry. But it is a unique challenge, I think, to deal with people who are like, at least in my sphere of things and yours too, at least I can speak for myself. You can encounter people who maybe can't get a point across, but they're at least like, there's like a threshold level of like, if you're working in film, enough where we can kind of communicate.
Base knowledge, right? Yeah.
But I don't know if that's always the case with commercial clients.
Well, but to be fair, everybody has enough overlap, I think. And I haven't worked, I had very short.
You work in commercials?
I did. When I was still an assistant editor, we moved to Chicago early on.
Optimus.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Optimus Prime.
I was like, wow, there's about a whole bunch of producers.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is.
You're essentially dealing with like 1,000 voices.
Because they're all protecting their own turf, right? You've got the client, you've got the ad agency. Yep. So, you have to deal with a lot of
it's different
egos.
Every time.
For sure. We got to have Marino on here because he could so really enmeshed in that world.
Although politically, I don't know. Now that he runs his own production company, I don't know how much.
He can't say anything about it.
Friend.
But
he can't say anything about
Marino
it.
I worked with. Yeah. But I feel like it so depends on the project and the client. But when there's trust, it can obviously be something really cool and exciting. And then when there's not, it's a different vibe.
Well, the beauty about what you do and what I do, I don't want to say Danny, is that you work on a project and then it's done and you move. So sometimes you hope they're all great, but sometimes they're not. And then you move on one way or the other. Yeah. But you always learn something.
Yeah.
And a huge skill, I think, is learning how to, and you're really good at it, clearly, is dealing with a lot of different people and their input and still maintaining what you want, what the ultimate goal is.
Yeah. Which you're too modest to even ever acknowledge this, but I think the reason you were so special as a director is that you're nice and also open to input and like collaborating with people, which I would say is rare. Like most people in general and in specific roles, I would say in the industry tend to have egos and like really like lock into what they want to do and aren't open to collaborate. So, yeah.
Yeah. You never know where a good idea is going to come from. And that's part of the job, I think, is knowing if it's worth putting in.
Totally. I mean, look at Paper Moon. So many changes to, what was there in script form in terms of like what Polly Platt brought to the table. And
not to change subjects back to that, but you had brought up something about the book, and that certain things may have been delved into deeper. But there was almost a whole second half of the book was them becoming progressively better and taking on bigger and bigger projects,
bigger fish,
bigger cons.
Yeah,
which they kind of do.
They kind of do, but you don't really need to focus on it because it's not really the story. And I think it was a smart, in a book you'd want all that.
Yeah.
But in the movie you have just enough because you see the car get better, even though he probably shouldn't have spent the money on it, but they've got more cash on hand. So that
but it's good. It's a very clearly delineated movie in terms of like what its focus is. And Alvin Sargent, if I'm not mistaken, I told Claire on the way over here, didn't he write Ordinary People? Was that Alvin Sargent?
I think
he
so,
did,
but
right? With Timothy Hutton?
I'm not going to put...
And Spider-Man 2. Funny enough.
No, but I mean, think about his career. It spanned, I mean, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's obviously he was working in between, but I mean, he worked for quite a while. And there's a photograph that I saw in the little making of thing of him. And he was a really young guy. It must have been very early in his career.
Yeah.
But an excellent writer.
Should we remark briefly on the kind of unique setup of how this film was produced? Because it was under...
and let's, let's make that our last chunk.
I ain't keeping any eye on the clock over here.
I'm kind of, because I'm struggling
You okay?
gravely with the one that I'm editing right now that was 35 minutes over an hour. So it can become an issue.
Was that with a guest?
It was. And this is just...
We should do one where we have like 5 guests and we just... we're going down and we're all talking
Everyone's
about
Well, you can cut this one
8-person podcast.
Yeah.
It's just annoying to have
up to a point, it's good. And we're over an hour. The one of them was 35 minutes past, and that's hard.
No, but we got this.
But anyways, let's go back to what you were saying. we got this.
Do you have it?
We got this. The director's company. You'll see the title ahead of the first title scroll in Paper Moon, and this was a very short-lived production company, distribution company that was created under Paramount in the mid-'70s, and it basically allowed William Friedkin, Francis Ford Coppola, and Peter Bogdanovich to make kind of any films they wanted to, as long as they came in under $3 million, circa.
What was the time frame?
1970s.
Well, this is early 70s.
It was like 73 to 75 that this thing lasted. Not long, because Peter was first with Paper Moon, which was a critical and commercial success. Mm-hmm. Then Coppola did The Conversation, which was still under the director's company. That didn't do as well business-wise.
Excellent movie, though.
Such a good movie.
It has stood the test of time and was a critical darling and won the Cannes Palme d'Or the year it came out. So, and then Bogdanovich kind of sank the whole thing a year after that by doing this movie Daisy Miller with Sybil Shepherd.
Why did he get to go again?
I think he got a little uppity about the fact that their system was very kind of socialist profit sharing, that the way the director's company worked was that like they had latitude to make whatever they wanted because they would share and reap the same benefit. Right. So like when Paper Moon came out and it did good business,
everybody made money.
Yeah, Friedkin and Coppola both benefited from that, and Bogdanovich kind of apparently didn't sit well with him. So
sounds great until you have a hit.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then he claimed later that whoever the head of Paramount was convinced him to make Daisy Miller to tank the company, and he's like, I wouldn't have done that. And it's like, well, you made the movie.
What's Daisy Miller?
It's this film he did after Paper Moon with Sybil Shepherd that was like this big budget.
We will
period
not be
piece
doing that one.
based on a Henry James short story or something. Yeah. And Orson Welles had kind of compelled him to do it, and he did it, and it just like flopped so hard. Sorry.
I'm just curious, and I know this is a derail a little bit, but where did Heartbreak Kid land in the timeline of her home wrecking?
Her career?
Peter Bogdanovich's marriage.
Well,
yeah, she was a home
Not
wrecker.
that it was her fault. I'm
going to go out on a limb and say picture shows first, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Before
Heartbreak Kid wasn't until like the late
Kid
70s, like 77, 78 or something like that. Yeah. Dad, look it up.
Yeah, they shot. I was going to college at University of Minnesota, and they shot there when he goes to, because she lives in Minneapolis.
Later.
Oh, right, when the fireplace scene.
What am I looking up?
Heartbreak Kid, what year it came out?
He goes
the
on the campus.
Yeah, he goes
on
and
the
goes
campus. Looking for
Yeah.
her.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's a hilarious
such a good
scene.
movie. I
We should
it's
do that
so
one.
annoying because
Yeah.
every time I try to find it, the Ben
The
Stiller,
Ben Stiller
remake.
one. Yeah, Dad, look,
Oh,
you're on the Ben
gosh,
Stiller
yeah.
one. That's not the right one.
Yeah.
You're on the Ben Stiller one.
Well, I can find the original one.
Get off that one.
I'm the boob here. 1972. It was actually before. It was before.
No, because when did Last Picture Show come out?
73.
I was
Oh no,
right.
Last Picture Show. No, you're right. It's
But I
before
was
Paper
right that
Moon.
it was early 70s.
Yeah.
But
72.
Sybil and Peter were together at this point. How long were they together for?
Yeah, because Paper
love to
Moon.
know.
I'll look up Paper Moon, but that was or not Paper Moon. Last
Picture
So that
Show,
was same
71,
year.
71.
Heartbreak Kid and Paper Moon.
Last Picture Show is 71. So she was on a roll. She did
71.
Last Picture Show, Heartbreak Kid, and then went right on to this.
To Daisy Miller. She wasn't in Paper Moon.
No. Oh, that's right. Daisy
Daisy Miller.
That's right.
I mean, she was in Paper Moon only in that she was probably like with Peter Bogdanovich all the time.
Maybe. Or maybe she was making a movie.
You don't like What's Up, Doc, right? That's one that you're not quite
It
keen
was,
on.
I think that's Barbara Streisand, right?
Ryan
And
O'Neal.
I
Did that
remember
right
it,
before.
it's like a screwball comedy. It was, and I think he's dressed like Harold Lloyd or something. I don't know.
When I think
haven't
screwball
seen
comedy,
it.
I think
No,
things like
it's
that.
Screwball comedy is a period piece, and I saw it
Wow.
when it came out, and I don't really, frankly,
What
I
the
don't
hell's a
really remember
screwball?
It's like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
They're over-the-top
movie
comedies.
That Sharon Tate goes
Yes.
to see of himself.
But I think of them more as like.
Falling.
Yeah, but I mean,
Tripping.
what did the term come from? Is the provenance of that?
I will have
the
to-
etymology of
I'll find that out. We'll put it in
Screwball.
the notes.
it. Okay. Well,
Oddball.
Screwball. I guess it's just kind of crazy. A lot of physical.
yeah, kind of. Well, this has been quite a stirring episode. Our first installment of Timecode Cowboys and One Cowgirl.
One cowgirl.
It's
Dan, we
important.
just have to talk a little bit about your project.
No, can't. I'm not able to disclose anything.
All right.
Well,
There's no project. What are you talking about?
Nothing.
Cut it.
I didn't say it.
cut that.
Well, that being said, Dan, Claire, I want to thank you for joining us
Yes.
and
Thank
being
you,
part of
Claire.
this. It won't be the last time.
Are you guys going to talk about me in the intro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll record that shortly.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
That was fun. I was nervous, but that was fun.
Paper Moon was great.
Paper
Great
Moon was
choice.
great. Thank you. It was a good choice. And thank you for joining
Yeah.
Timecode Cowboys.
Time code.
Everybody's liking the